My beloved child. Pause here for a moment. Do not rush past these words. Something has been trying to reach your spirit, and somehow, through all the noise, all the distractions, all the unanswered questions that have weighed heavily on your heart, this message has found its way to you. There are moments when heaven remains silent. And there are moments when silence begins to break. This is one of those moments. For a long time, you have sensed that something was happening beneath the surface of your soulmate's life. You could not explain it. You could not prove it. Yet there were nights when your spirit felt restless without reason. There were mornings when a strange heaviness sat upon your chest before the day had even begun. There were moments when you felt connected to emotions that did not seem entirely your own. You questioned yourself. You wondered if you were imagining things. You told yourself to stop overthinking. But my child, what if the feeling never came from your imagination? What if your spirit was sensing movements behind the curtain long before your eyes could see them? Listen carefully. Because what is being revealed is not what most people would expect. The woman close to your soulmate has been carrying something far heavier than anyone around her realizes. She has smiled while carrying it. She has spoken normally while carrying it. She has pretended everything was fine while carrying it. Yet beneath the surface, a secret has been growing larger with every passing day. A secret capable of changing futures. A secret capable of reshaping relationships. A secret capable of forcing truths into the light that can no longer remain hidden. And the strangest part? Even she never intended for it to become this large. What began as a single decision slowly became a chain of consequences. What began as something she thought she could control became something that began controlling her. For months, perhaps even longer, she convinced herself she could keep everything contained. She believed she could protect everyone involved. She believed she was helping. She believed that if the truth remained buried, fewer hearts would be hurt. But secrets have a way of growing in darkness. What starts as a whisper eventually demands a voice. What starts as a shadow eventually demands the light. And now, my beloved child, the pressure is becoming impossible to contain. The walls around this hidden truth are beginning to crack. The mask is becoming heavier. The burden is becoming unbearable. And somewhere deep inside, she knows that the moment she has feared is approaching faster than she expected. You may not know who this woman is yet. That uncertainty is intentional. Because the truth about her is more complicated than appearances suggest. She is not necessarily the villain some would imagine. She is not someone who wakes up each day plotting harm. In fact, there are moments when she has cried alone. Moments when guilt kept her awake. Moments when she stared at a ceiling late into the night wondering how everything became so complicated. The human heart is rarely simple. And hers has become a battlefield. Part of her wants to continue hiding. Part of her desperately wants freedom. Part of her fears judgment. Part of her fears losing people she loves. And part of her knows that the truth cannot remain hidden forever. That internal battle has been intensifying. Recently, something shifted. A conversation. A realization. An unexpected event. A detail she never anticipated. Whatever it was, it shook her more deeply than anyone knows. Since then, she has been looking at everything differently. The confidence she once had in keeping this secret has begun to crumble. The certainty she once carried has been replaced by doubt. The story she kept telling herself no longer feels convincing. And because of that, events have begun moving toward a turning point. My child, there is something important you must understand. The secret itself is significant. But what happens after the secret emerges is even more important. Because this revelation is connected to a larger unfolding story. A story involving your soulmate. A story involving choices that were delayed. A story involving emotions that remained hidden. A story involving truths that have been circling around one another without fully colliding. Until now. The collision is approaching. And many people will be surprised by what follows. You have often wondered why certain things seemed delayed. Why progress felt slow. Why clarity never seemed complete. Why situations remained suspended between uncertainty and movement. What if some of those delays were connected to information that had not yet surfaced? What if certain pieces of the puzzle could not fall into place because one crucial truth remained hidden? Think about that. Sometimes people pray for immediate answers. Sometimes they pray for doors to open. Sometimes they pray for movement. Yet they do not realize that hidden circumstances are still unfolding behind the scenes. They do not realize that revelations are being prepared. They do not realize that certain truths must emerge before the next chapter can begin. This is one of those situations. The secret is not merely information. It is a catalyst. And catalysts change everything. Even now, your soulmate senses that something is off. Though they may not fully understand it, they have been noticing small inconsistencies. Small moments. Small signals. Tiny fragments that do not quite fit together. At first, those fragments seemed meaningless. Easy to dismiss. Easy to ignore. But fragments accumulate. Patterns emerge. Questions form. And eventually curiosity becomes impossible to silence. Your soulmate has entered that phase. Questions are growing. Observations are increasing. Intuition is becoming louder. The deeper they look, the more difficult it becomes to accept surface-level explanations. This is creating tension. Not visible tension. Not dramatic tension. The kind of tension that lives inside the mind. The kind that whispers during quiet moments. The kind that returns unexpectedly during ordinary days. The kind that refuses to disappear. And while this is happening, the woman carrying the secret feels it too. She notices the change. She notices the growing awareness. She notices the subtle shifts in energy. Every question feels heavier. Every conversation feels riskier. Every day feels more uncertain. The pressure is mounting from both sides. One side seeking answers. The other side fearing exposure. And between them stands a truth waiting to be revealed. But there is another layer. A deeper layer. One that very few people see. Because this situation is not only about information. It is about identity. The secret affects how people see themselves. How they see each other. How they understand the past. How they imagine the future. That is why its impact reaches far beyond a simple revelation. When the truth comes out, several assumptions will collapse. Several narratives will change. Several beliefs will need to be re-evaluated. And that process can feel uncomfortable. Yet it is also necessary. Growth often arrives through disruption. Clarity often arrives through discomfort. Freedom often arrives after truth has been spoken. There were moments when heaven allowed this situation to continue longer than expected. Not because deception was being rewarded. Not because confusion was being encouraged. But because hearts were still being prepared. People were still learning lessons. Strength was still developing. Perspective was still forming. Had the truth emerged too early, certain individuals would not have been ready to handle it. Now that readiness is increasing. Now understanding is growing. Now circumstances are aligning. And that alignment is accelerating. You may have felt unusual emotions recently. Moments when you sensed change approaching. Moments when anticipation appeared without explanation. Moments when you felt as though something significant was moving closer. Those feelings were not meaningless. The spiritual atmosphere surrounding this situation has been shifting. Doors are moving. Pieces are repositioning. Conversations are approaching. And what seemed impossible only a short time ago is becoming increasingly likely. Yet the most shocking part has not even been revealed. Because the secret is not merely about what was hidden. It is about why it was hidden. Motives matter. Intentions matter. And once those intentions become visible, many people will see this situation differently. The truth is layered. Far more layered than anyone suspects. What appears obvious on the surface is only the beginning. Underneath lies another story. Underneath lies another reason. Underneath lies another emotional reality. And when that deeper reality emerges, hearts will be forced to reconsider everything they thought they understood. That is why heaven asks you not to rush toward judgment. Stay patient. Stay observant. Stay grounded. The full picture is still unfolding. Pieces are still emerging. And the most important details have yet to surface. Meanwhile, this woman is reaching a crossroads. She feels it. Every day she feels it. The crossroads appears in her thoughts. It appears in her conversations. It appears in her moments of solitude. Soon she will face a choice. Continue carrying the burden. Or finally release it. Continue protecting the secret. Or allow the truth to breathe. Continue maintaining appearances. Or embrace honesty regardless of consequences. That choice is drawing closer than she realizes. And once it arrives, events will move quickly. Faster than anyone expects. Because truth often moves suddenly after long periods of silence. Years of concealment can unravel in a single conversation. Months of uncertainty can disappear in one revelation. One moment can alter everything. One sentence can change futures. One confession can reshape destinies. The atmosphere around this situation is moving toward such a moment. Your soulmate stands closer to that moment than they know. The woman carrying the secret stands closer than she knows. And you, my beloved child, stand closer than you know. There is a reason this message found you now. Not yesterday. Not months ago. Now. Because the timing matters. The unfolding matters. And the chapter ahead will require awareness. It will require wisdom. It will require emotional maturity. For when truth emerges, emotions often surge alongside it. Shock. Relief. Confusion. Validation. Regret. Hope. All of these may appear together. All of them may arrive unexpectedly. And yet beneath the emotional waves, something greater will be taking place. Alignment. What was hidden moving into visibility? What was fragmented moving toward clarity? What was delayed moving toward resolution? This is why you must not lose faith during the waiting. The waiting is not empty. The waiting is active. But before it fully opens, there is one detail that cannot be ignored. A detail so significant that even the woman carrying the secret has struggled to face it herself. Because the secret she carries is connected to a decision made long ago. A decision she believed would never return. A decision she thought time had buried. A decision she assumed would remain safely in the past. Yet the past has a way of returning when lessons remain unfinished. And recently, signs of that return have begun appearing. Small at first. Easy to overlook. Then increasingly impossible to ignore. The evidence is building. The reminders are increasing. The pressure is growing. And with each passing day, she feels the walls closing in. Not because she is being punished. But because truth is approaching. Truth has a rhythm. Truth has a timing. Truth has a way of finding its moment. And that moment is drawing near. Very near. Closer than anyone realizes. What makes this even more remarkable is that another person has unknowingly become part of the unfolding. Someone whose involvement changes everything. Someone whose presence creates an entirely new complication. Someone who carries information without realizing how powerful it truly is. That person does not yet understand their role. But soon they will. And when they do, the chain reaction will begin. The first revelation will lead to another. The second revelation will uncover a third. The third revelation will expose connections nobody anticipated. And suddenly the hidden story will become impossible to contain. Yet even now, most people remain unaware. They continue their routines. They continue their conversations. They continue living as though nothing is changing. Meanwhile, beneath the surface, an extraordinary shift is already underway. The foundations are moving. The truth is rising. The silence is weakening. And heaven sees every piece of it. What happens next will surprise even those closest to the situation. Because the final detail, the one almost nobody knows, is tied directly to your soulmate in a way that changes the meaning of everything that came before. And when that detail finally emerges, when the hidden connection is exposed, when the reason behind the secrecy is finally spoken aloud, the reaction will be far greater than anyone is prepared for. But that revelation has not arrived yet. Not quite. The door is opening. The truth is approaching. The secret is trembling beneath the weight of exposure. And standing on the edge of all of it is a discovery so unexpected, so emotionally powerful, that even your soulmate will struggle to believe what they are hearing when the first words are finally spoken. And that is where this chapter must pause. For several nights, the atmosphere around this hidden situation has been changing in ways that cannot be explained through ordinary observation alone. The people involved may not realize it yet. They may still believe they have time. They may still believe everything can remain exactly as it has been. But beneath the surface, momentum has already begun. And momentum is a powerful thing. Once it starts moving, it becomes increasingly difficult to stop. The woman carrying this secret has reached a place she never expected to reach. A place where silence feels heavier than honesty. A place where every attempt to maintain control only creates more uncertainty. A place where the truth follows her into quiet moments and refuses to leave. She has replayed countless scenarios inside her mind. She has imagined conversations. She has imagined reactions. She has imagined the consequences that might follow if everything became known. Some of those imagined outcomes frightened her. Others brought an unexpected sense of relief. That relief confused her. Because for so long she convinced herself that secrecy was protection. For so long she believed concealment was the safest option. Yet now she is beginning to realize something difficult. The burden she feared releasing has become heavier than the burden of telling the truth. And that realization changes everything. Meanwhile, your soulmate has unknowingly moved closer to answers. Not because someone intentionally guided them there. Not because they were searching aggressively. But because truth has a strange way of revealing itself through small details. A forgotten comment. An unusual reaction. A conversation that suddenly feels different. A memory that no longer fits the official story. Tiny things. Things most people overlook. Yet when enough tiny things gather together, they begin forming a picture. And that picture has started taking shape. Your soulmate may not fully understand it yet. The pieces may still seem scattered. But deep inside, they can feel something shifting. The certainty they once carried about certain people and certain situations is beginning to weaken. Questions are becoming louder. Observations are becoming sharper. Instinct is becoming harder to ignore. And instincts often become strongest right before revelation arrives. There is a reason for that. The soul frequently recognizes approaching truth before the mind can explain it. That is exactly what is happening now. Something within them feels the approaching change. Something within them senses that a chapter is ending. Something within them understands that hidden realities cannot remain hidden much longer. What makes this situation especially significant is that the secret itself affects more than one relationship. Its roots stretch farther than most people realize. Like branches extending from a tree, its influence has reached multiple areas of life. Choices were made because of it. Opportunities were delayed because of it. Conversations were avoided because of it. Emotions were suppressed because of it. And now, as the truth rises toward the surface, every one of those areas is beginning to feel the impact. This is why the revelation will seem larger than expected. People will initially think the situation is about one thing. Then they will discover it is connected to another. And another. And another. Each layer revealing something deeper than the last. Each answer creating new understanding. Each realization changing the meaning of previous events. The woman at the center of this story has spent a long time carrying responsibilities that nobody else fully understood. Some of those responsibilities were real. Some were self-imposed. Some came from love. Some came from fear. And some came from wounds she never completely healed. The human heart often hides its deepest struggles behind ordinary smiles. Many people saw her and assumed she was fine. Many people believed she was strong. Many people believed she had everything under control. But strength and struggle can exist together. Confidence and fear can exist together. Love and confusion can exist together. And within her, those opposites have been battling for far longer than anyone knows. There were moments when she almost spoke. Moments when the truth nearly escaped. Moments when honesty stood only seconds away. Yet each time, something stopped her. Fear. Guilt. Uncertainty. The possibility of losing someone important. The possibility of changing everything. So she remained silent. But every silence created another layer. Every layer created more pressure. Every pressure point moved her closer to this unavoidable crossroads. Now she stands at the edge of it. And the edge feels unstable. The future she imagined no longer feels guaranteed. The control she believed she possessed no longer feels secure. The secret she once managed with confidence now feels like a storm cloud gathering above her. She knows change is coming. Even if she cannot predict exactly how it will unfold. And that knowledge has begun affecting her behavior. There are moments when she seems distracted. Moments when she appears distant. Moments when her words carry hidden weight. Others notice these things without understanding why. Your soulmate has noticed some of them too. Not consciously at first. But enough to create questions. Enough to create curiosity. Enough to begin connecting dots. Yet there is still one critical piece missing. One final piece that transforms confusion into clarity. One final piece that explains why this secret became so important. And that missing piece is tied to a truth about the past. A truth that was never fully addressed. A truth that remained unfinished. A truth that quietly influenced everything that followed. People often believe the past disappears. They believe old decisions remain buried. They believe yesterday loses its power. But unresolved truths rarely disappear. They wait. Patiently. Silently. Until the moment arrives when they must finally be acknowledged. That moment is arriving now. The signs are everywhere. The